What's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst here to do my recap for UFC 127. Let's just get something out of the way real quick. By the way, this is not alluding to any videos I made. I'm saying that seriously, not being sarcastic. What's going on with Asian fighters and bad judges? This is what we got to think about. It's not like a bunch of white fighters are getting robbed. Because like the UFC is filled with white fighters, or even Brazilian fighters. There's lots of Brazilian fighters, but there are very few in comparison to all of the fighters. If you look at the whole roster of the UFC, you might have like 10 Asian fighters in the whole roster. I mean, in heavyweight, you have none. In light heavyweight, you have Machida, who's half Asian. I don't know. You might have somebody else. I'm just gonna mind blank. In middleweight, you've got Okami. Anybody else I'm forgetting about? In welterweight, I mean, you know, you got what's it called? Homeboy, Chonin, he was there. I mean, you get the point though, right? How is it that every time they're in a fight and it goes to the decision and they won? And here's the other part. These aren't close fights. Like, I was watching, I saw everybody screaming about what happened with Ryan, with Ring and Fukuda, and I'm like, it's probably not that bad. So I took a look. I'm like, really? Okay, first round, that was Nick Ring, in my opinion. In the first round, he got taken down twice. The second one was 11 seconds left in the round. It was just trying to get some last-minute points. But most of the fight was on the feet, and Nick Ring was doing the better job. And then I'm like, well, if this is how the fight goes, I can understand why some people who are takedown happy would get up. No, that's not what happened. Second round, Fukuda actually stepped up his striking. His takedowns they meant more. He got better position, held it for longer. And then the third round was just all Fukuda. So I'm sitting here like, really? All three judges? And I hate when people say it should have been a split decision. It should have been a split decision makes no sense. You know, it's not like I think I should have at least got 2 of the 3. I mean, you should have got the win or you should have got the loss. But anyways, crazy. Just think about it. Out of the very few Asian fighters in the UFC, whenever they fight to a pretty obvious decision victory, it seems like the majority of the time they're getting robbed. And it's not often that you have it go the other way. It did happen once, though, in Canada. Let's get to the main event. BJ Penn versus John Fitch. What I saw from BJ Penn was very positive. He did what he needed to do in one sense, which was put the pride aside. Pride aside, right off camera. So you can't even see it anymore. And when did he do this? When we saw him come out in the first round and go for takedowns. When we saw him resort to doing what these other guys are doing. BJ Penn's been very clear. He doesn't like how these other guys fight, how they are conservative and how they are doing whatever they can to win. And BJ Penn realized going in this fight with John Fitch, he needs to not let John Fitch do what John Fitch can only do. And the only way to stop that is to do it first. Completely threw John Fitch off. First round, BJ Penn won that round. He got the back, got the hooks in. A few times he was threatening the neck. I mean, he was pretty close, but John Fitch, he's got his jiu-jitsu. He knows what to do. He reversed it, got out of the round. It's all good. First round, BJ Penn. Second round, very close round. but I gotta go with BJ Penn on the second round. It kind of looks like the first round, except for at one point BJ Penn gets the back again, but then he gets reversed, and then he ends up on his back for the rest of the fight. So the question is, who got the round? Is it the guy who was throwing some punches from inside the guard, but definitely not doing much when it comes to damage, or the guy who got in a very dominant position in the back, but didn't do much in damage? If you want to say 10-10, that's fine. If you want to say 10-9 for Fitch, that's fine. If you want to say 10-9 for BJ Penn, that's fine as well. I personally say it goes 10-9 BJ Penn. So now we're going into the third round, and we see BJ Penn show up. Now, not to say that he wasn't in good shape, because the fact that he was trying to implement a takedown offense and that he was leaning up against that cage into John Fitch, and by the way, John Fitch looked a lot thinner. Like, he wasn't as big as normal. But anyways, that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying. The fact that he was implementing this game plan means he had to do a lot more training and be in much better shape than if he was going to go out there and just try and jab hook, jab cross somebody and try and maybe catch him. So I know he trained harder. He had to do what he did for the first 10 minutes. But did he train hard enough? Clearly he didn't. Third round, he got taken down, and it was an easy takedown. He kind of just, okay, well, you just come into my guard, and then that was it. And he got punched on and elbowed, and not a 10-8 round. I mean, a 10-8 round has to be a very, very dominant, close to finishing the fight. There are 10-8 rounds where you're close to finishing the fight, but you're not. Let me say that again. There are rounds where somebody's very close to finishing the fight, but it's not a 10-8 round because, it's like, okay, you did something and you were almost there, but you didn't do it. Then there are rounds where somebody is in complete control for the entire round, but at no point was this fight close to being over. And I don't think that's a 10-8 round. I think the only time you get into 10-8 round, and then, the crazy thought of maybe even a 10-7 round, is when which can't be done in a three round fight, is when you have somebody who is completely dominant and close to finishing the fight. I don't think John Fitch was close to finishing the fight in round 3. I'm not sure. I didn't see who scored what and how they came to 28-28. Most likely 10-8 rounds for the third round. Maybe a 10-10 round in the second round. I'm not sure. I didn't look. I could probably look into it, but I didn't. But it came down as a draw. It is what it is. Now what? Now what do we do? I don't know. The welterweight situation is really strange because of what's happening with Georges St. Pierre and what's happening with everybody else. And this whole BJ Penn coming up from 155, taking Fitch to the limits, to the brink of defeat. I mean, all around, it was an all right fight. If BJ Penn comes out with the kind of cardio that these other guys like Fitch has, he wins. And he even did some extra stuff. He trained with Hughes and all types of stuff. So I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I don't know. Clearly something more needed to be done. You're professional. You're not like a lot of these other guys who can't train whenever you want. You've got money. You've got time. You've got everything you need. You can do whatever you want. So there's no reason for you to be tired no matter what you do in those first 2 rounds in the third round. No matter what. I see too many guys that are able to just off straight grime and grit be able to go all 3 rounds on some crazy speed and never stop and never slow down. So the fact that those guys exist, and you should be able to do the same thing, but something is missing in your training. let's move on. Jorge Rivera versus Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping, first round, he won that round, did the illegal knee, 9-9. Simple as that. But while he was doing what he was doing, he was implementing his game plan properly. Jorge Rivera was really on that home run hitter type game plan. That was it, coming in, throwing bombs and stuff, and Bisping was going, getting some takedowns a couple times, just basically winning the round. And he did it. He actually, I think Jorge Rivera might have unleashed some type of a beast, and we'll see more of that in round two. Round two, at some point, Rivera gets tired, and it's from the pressure, and then he gets hurt. And then he kind of just folds up and caves over. And Bisping is really, he's not pitter-pattering. He knows, I don't have much power in my left and I have more in my right. But all the power I have is going to go on this man's face. Bow, bow. And he's trying to get around in that ear. He's just everything he could. If he knew that Jorge Rivera would stay there, he would have ran to the other end of the cage and ran across and just... He would have done anything he could. He was upset. Then he won. Now, I don't know if this has been 100%, certified, clarified and verified, and if they got the certified stamp. But the rumors are that Bisping went over and spit at Homeboy's corner. I don't know if that happened. If that happened, that is 100% not cool. You can, if you want to trash talk, you can trash talk. If after the fight you want to be an ass and lose your control and tell the guy apologize, go home loser and all that stuff, that's up to you. I can dislike it or like it, but it's a part of the game. Being an ass is a part of the game. Losing your temper and working within the confines of the rules is a part of the game. But if he did spit at anybody, that ain't a part of the sport. That's whack. Weak. That's weak. That's ultimate sign of disrespect. Doesn't matter what the dude says to you. You're in a fight. You just beat him down. You want to stand over him. Do the Ali. You want to talk to him. You want to Brock Lesnar. You want to spank him on the butt. Whatever. Whatever it is. Pause. You can do whatever you want, but when you go into maybe spitting at people, that's just weak. I don't know if it happened, though. I'm just saying if it did, that's weak. Anyway, you look at it, Bisping got what he needed to get. He got his revenge in the cage. He finished the first person since Dennis Kang 5 fights ago, and he did a good job. George Sotiropoulos versus Dennis Siver. This was the fight. I don't know if I said this. I was talking to people on the phone, and they're like, yo, what's the good underdog one? I'm like, the two good underdog picks are Siver over Sotiropoulos and BJ Penn over Fitch. Anything else I'm not comfortable with, but the best underdog one is Siver over Sotiropoulos. I'm going to try and talk more about underdogs and just who you should pick if you're looking for the underdog bet, because I've been pretty on point with these. And the whole thing is, if Sotiropoulos can't get the fight to the ground, Dennis Siver will be able to outstrike him. Dennis Siver will be able to hurt him because Sotiropoulos is very hittable. He likes working with his boxing, and he's much better than he used to be, and he's still improving, but he gets hit. He has good recovery, but he gets hit. And Dennis Siver, it was a very, very close fight. It probably would have been a robbery, though, if they would have given this to the hometown Sotiropoulos. Siver was able to bust him a few times, drop him a few times, control the fight, not get taken down, and just really did his thing. Sotiropoulos in round 2. Round 1 was Siver, round 2 was Sotiropoulos, and it all came down to round 3, which I thought was Siver. It was a good fight. The crazy thing about MMA is, even though it's the UFC is $1 billion business, and they've got a lot of guys under their contracts, but the talent pool is big in the sense of there are lots of talented guys, but there are more talented guys coming. People are improving, and when you set up hype in a certain way, like with Soteropoulos, we're talking about giving him a title shot. People were like, with the win over Dennis Siver, should he get a title shot? And I'm like, no. I mean, wins over Billy Miles, Roman Machan, George Roop, Jason Dent, Joe Stevenson. That was a good win at the time. Kurt Pellegrino, also a good win. Joe Lozon, good win. But none of these guys are top 10. So how do you go from beating all of these outside of top 10 guys to maybe getting a title shot? You can't do it. Dennis Siver, he was on his own winning streak, improved from, he's going through the UFC. Only had lost, since his Melvin Gillard, Gray Maynard, that's basically when that's like back in 2008. But then he went on his improvement thing. Nate Moore, Dale Hart, Paul Kelly, Spencer Fisher, Andre Winter, right? But even if he beats Soteropoulos, he shouldn't get a title shot, right? So the hype train's got to slow down. That's all I'm saying. Slow down the hype trains. That's it. Just, don't derail them. Just slow them down. But I know what it is. Obviously, the hype train is generated by the hype machine, which is Zuffa. And it is what it is. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. Dennis Siver, let's give Dennis Siver a big test again. He is very much improved since losing. I think he's lost about 4 times in the UFC. He's very much improved since those losses. Let's see what happens if we give him a nice little bump up in competition. Chris Lytle versus Brian Ebersole. Again, Chris Lytle. This is his 8th bonus in the UFC. I mean, 75,000 this time. I mean, win or lose, Chris Lytle is making his money off of these bonuses. I mean, it's crazy. But that's what he's doing. He's going out there and he's in good fights, and it's happening like that. I mean, if you put him up against a top 3 guy, somebody's going to lay on him or whatever it is, and he won't get that fight of the night just because he's going to be outmatched. But as long as he's being put up against guys who are willing to fight back, it'll keep happening because he will go out there and implement his game plan, which is get that fight of the night and maybe get the submission of the night. But in this fight, I mean, he got dropped a couple times, a nice knee, just back and forth fight. Brian Ebersole, again, not an amateur, new in the UFC, but by no stretch of the imagination is he new to MMA. It's like his 63rd fight or something like that. 47 wins now. I mean, that ain't just came off of a win a few weeks ago. It's not a new dude, right? He did his thing. Congratulations to him. Great work. What's up for Chris Lytle? It's a fight with somebody else and another fight of the night, most likely. Kyle Noke versus Chris Camozzi. Good win for Kyle Noke. It was a good submission. I personally think that the Tai Quan Zhang should have been the submission of the night, but I guess they gave it to Noke. But it was a good submission regardless. Ross Pearson, Spencer Fisher. I didn't get to see this fight, but I guess Pearson took it. Good win for Pearson. Alexander Gustafsson over James Te-Huna. Good win for Gustafsson. I got to see that too. What was I doing yesterday? Oh, snap. That's why. I was doing my thing in my first ever face-to-face pre-written battle, whatnot, King of the Dot. What's up? Can't tell you what happened because I guess that would be a spoiler. So the footage will be out. I'll let you guys, whoever's still watching this at this point in the video, y'all got love. So I'll put the link out as soon as it comes up and you can see the MMA Analyst, aka 100 Bullets, start his potential rise to the top. All right. We already talked about Nick Ring and Ricky Fukuda. Anthony Perosh came out with a good win over Tom Blackedge, with the rear naked choke. Again, Zhang over Reinhardt. Quick submission. Mark Hunt with... Thank you, Mark Hunt. Thank you. I really didn't want to... I mean, I can't pick you on a 6-fight losing streak, even though some of those losses are to the best fighters in the world, but I just can't pick you. I mean, when people are just able to take you down and twist your arm, right? So that was... I just couldn't do it. I mean, how many times can you pick somebody and hope that something happens? But hey, I'm happy he came out there. Chris Terscherer, these are where the pros are. The bums are everywhere else. We got the top guys in the world in the UFC. Chris Terscherer tried his best, but come on, man. Hit a gym. I'm not in 100% shape. Hit a gym. Do some sit-ups. Do some push-ups. Don't have your belly folding over your waistline. Come on, man. I mean, damn. Mark Hunt went out there, put on a great display of striking. That's what I like to see. Great display of striking. And hit him with the uppercut. A short uppercut. Homeboy was like, blow. And Mark Hunt just turned to look once. Like, oh, I've hit enough people to know that this dude ain't getting up. And if he is, he's going to be wobbly. And he just walked away, put his hand up, was like, finally. I guarantee that's what he said in his head. Finally. Put his hand up. It was sick. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Sick knockout. And epic. Like, this is how, if I'm a fighter, this is how I would always try and end my fights. Like, if I knock someone out, I don't want to jump on him and throw a bunch of punches on an unconscious guy. I want to uppercut right into the fist pump and walk away. You know what I mean? Bow. And like point. And point over there and just walk over there. You know what I mean? I just want to do the one hitter quitter. What is it? The walk off home runs. I like those the best. When you just hit somebody and you turn around as they fall. That kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You kind of. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff is way more impressive than when you hit the guy and then they go spaz out and try and hit with a bunch of wild punches and maybe hit it. Anyways, I'm rambling. Great knockout. He got knockout of the night. And then Warburton won in a fight again that I didn't see. This is a long-ass video, 23 minutes. MMA. It's important. Peace.